Just go with me here. I got a call from someone. I won't say who. But I got a call from someone. And I watched some film on him. If the Eagles looked at Will Mallory, tight end, University of Miami, somewhere in the second day between 4 and 6, Marshall goes, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this because it needs to be said. This is a great hire, and I'm getting fed up with Darius Slay's antics. People not liking Patricia on account of Slay upsets me. Marshall, it's okay. Here's why, Marshall. It's okay if Slay and fans are like that. Here's why. If you're a great coach and a great organization, you coach that and manage that. Don't be lazy and just hate the guy because they hate the guy. You know what I'm saying? That's a lazy take. Anton, BJ told Dan Patrick he compares himself to LaDainian Tomlinson. So do I. Now, if you knew you'd be getting LT, surely you would take the top 10 pick. You absolutely would. Howie said that yesterday, too. And I'll hit on that. I want to finish this up. Somewhere in the second day, you put a tight end to Will Mallory because he's got a great set of hands. And I think he would be a pretty good – and by the way, you guys have been great at drafting tight ends. And I kind of talked to Tracy a little bit about it, so they're going to kind of throw his name around a little bit in the building there. But keep an eye on Will Mallory. I think Mallory's going to be a good football player somewhere. He's not a first-day guy, obviously. Miami's telling me he's a second or third. I'm like, I don't see second or third. I see somewhere 4th, 5, 6, somewhere there. Okay? Somewhere there, 4, 5, and 6. So he had a really good career down there. In Miami, what is the one thing you can be sure of? Miami produces tight ends. The Canes produce tight ends. It's a tight end school. Look at all the great tight ends that have come out of that program. You're not going to get a bad tight end coming out of the University of Miami. I mean, they're littered throughout the last 20 years. Yeah, Dion, that's where I think it is, too. I think he's a 4 through 6 kind of guy. Yeah, that's right. Hey, Pickin, Slay's never going to live out that contract, so who cares at the end of the day? Okay? Who cares? This is about winning ball games. I don't want to sit around and have to worry about somebody being butthurt over something. Let's just move on. You know what I mean? So Will Mallory, somewhere between 4 and 6, I would think that hopefully the Eagles take a look at the tight end from the University of Miami. All right. Howie Roseman knows what he sees here with B.J. Robinson. He said it so at the press. I took a ton away from that press conference yesterday. Okay? Fly, you're forgetting another guy, too, that tried changing the room. The guy that played in Seattle and New Orleans. You forgot him, too. Okay? You forgot that guy. You heard him when his name was brought up. You heard him say he's a special player, and I'm paraphrasing here. Yeah, that's right, Pickin. The guy in Cleveland, I had forgotten. He's a really good player, too. Shit, the guy in Minnesota, right? He's another one that's a good ball player. Miami's got a ton of tight ends. So Mallory's not a reach. He's a special player. And what I heard from Howie Roseman, I don't look. Did he not echo what I said? Now I know he watches the show. He echoed it. And you know what? Was it you, Yale, or somebody said, Sills, you got to watch the press conference. Tell me what your feedback is. Because here's kind of what he said. I'm not going to sit there and take a lesser player on a position of need just to draft a guy because it's a need position and take the lesser guy. I've been telling you that now for 3 months. And I've been telling you that now since I got a handle on him. Howie's not going to draft a guy. He's not going to draft a guy just to draft a guy because he's the third best edge rusher and you got a need at that. He's going to take an elite player. Hey, that's right. Tone, he kept saying unique. It made me think of you, Big Sills. Tone, that's right. Unique. Unique. You ever heard how he used the word unique before I show up? Dude, I know they watch the show. What's his name? Our good friend Merrill Reese was in the office with Sirianni himself when he did the show. Okay? Unique. How he brings up you. I'm thankful. I'm thankful. And that's why Merrill comes out and says, I value your opinion massively. Because obviously, hey, you may not like my delivery or my style, but at least you watch me. And that's what they're doing there. And I respect that. They know I almost got hired by Ken Herrick and Al Davis. They know I almost got hired by Mike Lombardi. They know all that as a talent guy. They know I almost went to work for Ron Wolf. I was this close to going into personnel. I didn't want to coach. I wanted to go into personnel. Okay? And I'm glad to hear him say that. It's here. I'm going to tell you, here's my critique of Howie and how he runs his football team. That deal he put together for Jalen Hurts, it's like putting the Constitution together or carving out the Pietà. Okay? Sills, you remind me of your Jalen Hurts takes. You may not like the style, but damn it, you got to watch. Thank you, brother. That contract he did is the Pietà, the Michelangelo. It's brilliant. Finding Gardner Johnson. That guy was on another football team's roster that's in salary cap purgatory in New Orleans. And Mickey Loomis, who I have a shit ton of respect for, didn't see it. He did. Brilliant. Figuring out the Rubik's Cube where Arizona, Carolina. I'll tell you what, if I'm the owners of Arizona and Carolina and my coach or my scouting department draft an edge rusher, I'm going to kick your freaking ass because you couldn't figure out Hassan Reddick. That's an organizational failure. Eagles figured it out. He's not a great tackler. He's not a great cover guy. I'm not paying him for that. I think that's one of the mistakes Dan Quinn makes with Micah Parsons. Bro, I don't want you dropping in coverage. Go kill the quarterback. You're going to make more of an impact on a football team killing the quarterback for me than covering a stupid-ass running back out of the backfield. Am I right? Go kill that guy. Look, how about this? That one impact play that Hassan Reddick had, and he had a bunch of them. That one impact play was one impact play that I never saw Micah Parsons make all year. NFC title game. He takes the starting quarterback out. If he had bombed all the way up until that play, I would have went, that's a win. That's a win. Yale goes, it ended the game 3 minutes. Dude, there was 57 more minutes of football to be played. Reddick earned his money on that play. Why would I drop his ass in coverage? Howie and the staff and everyone figured it out. The drafting of these O-line and him, Dude, he's way better. I did not think he was that hot a GM. But being out of the broom closet, since he's way better. I mean, he really is a knack for pro personnel. A tremendous knack for pro personnel, Kaiser White. Fabulous. Dude, to me, Kaiser White is exactly what a Howie Roseman player is. Same with Gardner Johnson. Guys that were on a roster, you didn't know what to do with, you didn't want to pay them, so you bring them in, they contribute, you win. Now they're generational wealth. Bradbury was shit on. What made that even what made that even better was that you kept Bradbury in the division. By the way, that's not talked about a lot. Don't you think Bradbury having the advantage of playing with the Giants and staying in the NFC East was a contributing factor on why he got a contract extension? Don't you see the correlation? Nobody in the newspapers, nobody in the Philly media has put that together. Bradbury has played his entire career in the NFC East. He knows all these wideouts. That played into his continuing to be a better ball player. He didn't have to change conferences. He didn't have to change coast. He didn't have to change divisions. He's in the same division. Tell me that's not an advantage for James Bradbury. Okay? Okay? Bro, he was with the New York Giants. But, okay, I shouldn't say started his entire career. Correct. But he was with the Giants. He made the Pro Bowl in New York. Started it in Carolina. I should have said, okay, anyway. Then on top of that, his ability in the later rounds is where the organization has really done a nice job. Sweating the fourth, okay? And again, just when you see the mishaps like the Andre Dillards or the Ragers and the overdrafting of Jordan Davis or the gamble on Nakobe Dean, because that's what they are still. They're gambles. One guy's a good player. One guy is overdrafted. It's okay, though, because as I said yesterday, 17 of the 22 guys that you have going into the 2023 training camp before the NFL draft have been built through the draft. That's a great percentage. Actually, I would say this to you. The Eagles are starting to get the draft right. They're starting to get it right a little bit, where they haven't for 23 years. They're not good at drafting corners. We know this. And they're not very good at drafting edge rushers. Okay? They're just not. However, again, not to go down that route, but to hear Howie say this leads me to believe how he sees Bijan Robinson. He's a game-changing player. Here are the game-changing players in the draft. Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Bijan Robinson, maybe Tyree Wilson. And the offensive line guys, I'm okay with it because I'm going to show you where I'm going to go here. Brian, Derek Barnett, again, he's been there how many years? Jesus criminy. If not now, when, son? If not now, when? Hey, and I do want to say this to you before I give you the second topic here. Kenneth Gainwell and Boston are inferior talent in that offensive huddle. They're the worst of your talented players in that 11. Every running back you have in that 11 don't belong in that huddle. Everywhere you look in the Eagle offensive huddle is elite, except with the collection of dudes. And everyone's going to look at that and go, well, Sills, do you actually believe you think you have Miles Sanders in that backfield right now? You don't. Don't you think Howie would have done this if he thought that Gainwell in Boston could supplant Miles Sanders? Sanders wouldn't have got over 200 carries. He'd have been phasing him out. Instead, they leaned on him. Why? Because the other guys weren't good enough. Don't lie to yourselves. Don't lie to yourselves. If you know you have cheaper players and you know that you have a player that you're not good, here, use your common sense here on this. If you have a player that you fully well know you're not going to sign a $7.5 million contract with in the offseason, you never offered him anything, and you believe that your guy, Boston and Gainwell, could take the position of Miles Sanders, wouldn't they have been trying to phase Sanders out the entire season instead of giving him over 250 carries? Use your common sense. If I know I could get a better football player in a position, why do you think really Andre Dillard wasn't used so much last year and Jack Driscoll was used more? Because they had no intention of moving forward with Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard had no shot in hell in staying with the Eagles. Jeff Stoutland didn't want him in. Jeff Stoutland felt more comfortable with Jack Driscoll than he did with Andre Dillard, and you took him in the first round. That's how that works. Driscoll was a later pick. And by the way, Charlie, I'm not saying Boston and Gainwell aren't decent players. They're good. But you're not elite there. You're elite. So every single position in the offense, some go like this. Well, you can't be the lead everywhere. Why? Why can't you be a lead everywhere? Jesus criminy, you're not going to have the 10th pick ever again. You're not going to have the 10th pick ever again. The Eagles are not going to pick in the 10th spot again. Do you understand this is an opportunity to get an impact player? Because for the next decade, you're going to be picking in the 20s and near the 30s. You're hoping, right? Make it impactful. Make it impactful. The 10th pick. How many people think the Eagles are going to be in the 10th spot over the next decade? How many people think the Eagles are going to pick in the top 10 over the next decade? I don't. How many times has the Eagles picked in the last 25 years in the top 10? I know Wentz went early. How many times have they picked since the 2004 Super Bowl in the first 10 picks? Good football teams don't get – look at Seattle. Seattle's got 2 first-round picks also. They got to take complete advantage. That's why passing on Jalen Carter for them, I mean, dude, do you look at the quarterback? Are you really – here, to me, these quarterbacks, I think these quarterbacks are so overrated. I think one of them is going to be great. Can I tell you who? I think the guy who's going to be a great player is going to be Bryce Young. I think the rest of those guys, I don't know. I mean, really, when I watch those guys play, and by the way, I heard somebody say something today that Bijan was on a shitty football team. Let me give you an impactful insight on the draft. Give you an insightful impact here. And Texas wasn't good. And by the way, against Alabama, he had 130 total yards against Alabama last year. What was John Elway's record at Stanford?
Check out these pictures.
John Elway's record at Stanford was 20-23. Mac Jones, did he lose a game in his career? Sometimes you're on a shitty team. Hey, this is how you look at the Texas Longhorns. You know, they got 53 first. I would say this on the first page of the scouting and all of those like scouting combines and all of those rivals pages. There's 53 guys of 85 dudes in scholarship that are 5-star guys. They have done an absolutely pathetic job of bringing talent in. But of those 53 5-star dudes, a couple of them are going to be star ball players. This kid's one of them. Hey, and by the way, so you're trying to tell me you think if you put Bijan Robinson behind the Georgia Bulldog offensive line, you don't think that guy runs for 700 yards a game? Really? Better talent? How many people think one of the reasons that Jalen Hurts is getting better is because he's got massive talent around him? You think that plays into Jalen's evolving into being who he is? Or do you think it's just all Jalen? Really? You think the fact of having Kelsey, who sets the blocking schemes and is a savant at center, Hall of Fame right tackle, a great player at left tackle and left guard, a tight end who's in the top 5, a wide receiver who, get this, A.J. Brown, for all of his bullshit, here's what I like about A.J. So what he talks so much? You know what I do love about him? This guy's going to go head hunting back there in the run game, and he's going to look to knock someone out. You want to talk some shit? I'm all gay with it. I'll just coach it. I'm good with it. See, I don't mind that shit talking when you're doing stuff like that and dirty work out there. A.J. Brown wants to talk about the Titans, and he wants to talk about social media, and he wants to bitch about this or that. When I turn the game film on and I see him with 7 catches, 125 yards, and knocking dudes out in the secondary in the run game, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Go ahead, talk. Now, again, you start sucking and you start losing, then you got to rein things in. But, bro, as long as your production is where it needs to be, you get equity with me to talk shit and do whatever you want, as long as it's not harmful to the organization or to the rest of your guys that you have and the other 52 in the locker room. I don't care what you do. Again, I have certain rules. Got to stand for something or you'll fall for everything. Be on time, play like hell. Don't beat kids. Don't beat elderly. Don't hit women. I don't give a shit about the rest. I don't care. Too many rules get in the way. Put all these speed bumps in front of your football team or in front of your horse. How does he get out of the gate? So many organizations, man. So many organizations put all these speed bumps in front of the gate. The horse never gets out. Hey, don't root for Dallas. I didn't like when he lost his cool in the sidelines. You know, but Yale, coach it. You hear me? Coach it. Hey, dude, come on. Yeah, but see, you know what, too, Yale? When your wide receiver is losing it on the sideline and your head coach is losing it on the sideline too, you know, head coach sets the tone. Head coach sets the tone. So you got a head coach standing on a bench, and he's screaming at the Colts fans about Frank Reich. And if A.J. Brown is bitching about something on the sidelines, oh yeah, but yeah, again, the coach sets the tone. He set the tone, dude. The guy who's totally the most even-keeled guy is the quarterback on the sidelines. He's the guy that keeps everything in wrap. By the way, it just shows me, too, how sometimes he puts Sirianni's hand down. Just looks to me like the coach of that football team is Howie Roseman. I don't know. It's just me. Just looks like Howie, man, has complete control. And Jalen doesn't take, like Tone said yesterday, with great power comes great responsibility. And when Jalen puts the cape on, he handles his responsibility better than anybody, including his coach. That's okay. Jalen controls his responsibilities. It's great. Brady was like that. Don't you think it was always something that you never really played into or really ever thought of when you went like this? Why does Brady always put Aaron Hernandez or Antonio Brown or Corey Dillon or Lamar Smith or any of those troubled players? Why were they always around him? Because Brady was trying to be an influence. Get this. Think about how Brady handled his locker room compared to Wentz or some of these other guys who can't, like Aaron Rodgers. If Brady can't connect with the hardest guys on the team to connect, he can't connect with Wes Welker. That's how he looked at it. If Brady can't connect with Aaron Hernandez, Corey Dillon, or some of these other dudes, there's not a chance you could connect with Wes Welker and Adelman or Amendola, especially when you're screaming on the sidelines. I told you this, guys, in this story. Joe Madden told me this. I go, Joe, how do you motivate Cliff Floyd and all these guys who are cast-off players from other organizations? You know what he said? He goes, I see you screaming at these guys. He goes, I have to have a personal relationship with each and every single one of them. So when I'm talking to them, it's constructive and not destructive. Because once a player starts to see you're being destructive towards him, that's how he's going to perceive you for the rest of his time in your clubhouse. He'll never change that, and he'll never not look at you in a different light. A coach has one shot at a player to connect. And the first steps you do, Joe used to have all these stupid-ass, theme road trips. Used to have these dumbass road trips, like beach volleyball, and everyone showed up in beach gear on the way out because they were going to the West Coast, or it was like snowman building or some shit when they went to the Midwest early in April or some. He would do all that stuff. And it was team bonding shit. Dorky, kind of like high school. It worked. It worked. Controlled chaos. Control the chaos. Hey, that's why for me, when I see a player go somewhere else and succeed, take a look at this here for instance. We're going to move on here because I want to tell you what I'm going to do and where I'm at right now when it comes to the Eagles' 10th pick. Okay. Mike Tomlin doesn't get enough credit for what he did with Antonio Brown. I said this after Brown's situation a couple of years ago. This ain't ending well. This guy took a lighter and put lighter fluid to a Hall of Fame career. What a shame. Man, this ain't ending well. This ain't ending well. We're going to open up our social media pages. We're going to get a notice on our phone one day. And I don't even have to say it. You know what's coming. There's two ends to this. There's two ends. Prison. This was never going to end any other way. And the Steelers kept him in that building with Mike Tomlin because of the culture in the building. Everywhere else has been a train wreck in his life. And what happens to train wrecks? They eventually derail. He's burnt through all his money. He's burnt through all his fame. He's built through all his goodwill. He has shit on every single human being. I actually feel terribly sorry for him to a point. And by the way, to a point, because at the end of the day, you and me, we get up every morning, we go to work, we have heartache, we have hardships, we have bills to pay, we have stacks of things that are on the table that we have to take care of too. Hey, F that guy. I agree. Completely agree. You built through $80 million? Hey, guy, what do you want from me? I'm like, yeah, I got $85 in my bank account. You want me to cry for you? That's not going to work, especially in a place like Philly. That ain't going to work for me. Sorry, guy. You ain't getting a tear out of me. You know what you're going to get? A pathetic out of me. People with empathy will have it. Most of us have empathy. Hey, prison or the graveyard. It's where it's ending. Nowhere else. Dude, and the one thing that you should always be, and the thing that he doesn't see, I'll move on to this moment here. But, dog, when I die, I don't want anyone to tell me, hey, Sills played pretty good college football. He got drafted. One of the great things that a player could ever have is to be a high draft choice. Was in broadcasting for 35 years. Was really, man, met a lot of people. You know what that means to me? Shit. Because when I leave this world, I want my daughter to go, my dad was a great dad to me. That's my testament. My responsibility. I told my daughter, I don't have to love you. Are you kidding me? I feed you. I house you. I give you everything you want. My family helps you go to school. You're my responsibility. Love you? Don't get it twisted here. Love you? You're my responsibility. That's my responsibility. When you start having people tell you bullshit about love, they'll let you down. People let you down all the time. I tell my daughter this. I don't have to love you, honey. I do. But you're my responsibility. It's easier. It's easier to have a kid than get a gun. You know what's crazy? You don't have to have a license to have a kid. Anyway, let's move on here. As of this Friday, 6 days out. That's where I got it from, BF. I love that line. I saw that in my daughter, because my daughter was telling me about, why are you always telling me to get better and do this and that? And I said, do you love me? Do you not love me? And I saw that, and I was like, it was profound for me. I was like, man, he's right. I don't have to love you. I don't have to. You're my responsibility. All right. How many people would have a problem with the Philadelphia Eagles drafting Bijan Robinson using the 10th pick? How many would using the 10th pick? How many would have a problem with the 10th pick? By the way, he loves the kid, which already is leaning me more that way. Can I tell you, do you guys agree Okay, well, Roland, after listening to him yesterday, Yale Tone, would it be beneath Howie to do this? Say a team drafts him. '15th. Howie gives him the 30th pick, makes a trade on trade day, grabs him. Say he's 17. You use the 30th pick for him. Give you the 30th pick and a second rounder. 30th pick and a second rounder versus the 10th pick for an impact player. He said it. A special impact player. Probably too rich. But here's what I would do. And I'm going to stick to this. If my guys, Jalen Carter and Anderson goes to 3, there's not a guy in this draft that I covet. Not a guy in this draft. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Here's my game plan. I covet 2 things in this first round. An O-lineman and 5. So I'm going to figure out a way to get 5. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to shop the 10th pick. I got to stay ahead of Dallas, though. Dallas wants this guy. You know I know the Joneses. Man, they want this guy so bad. Texas kid. Longhorn. Playing with the star. So he's a Longhorn. Get this. In the state of Texas, the Dallas Star and the Longhorn emblem, I don't know. You couldn't find a lot of states that have that kind of dynamic. You played at the University of Texas and you're a Cowboy. Bro, you're legendary. When Earl Campbell played for the Longhorns and played for the Oilers, he was a god. He was a god. I go to the Patriots. The Patriots want an O-lineman. They want one of the O-linemen. And if those 2 guys are there, I trade with the Patriots. I move to 14, and I get Robinson at 14. Do you feel more comfortable taking the running back at 14 than you do at 10? I do. I kind of agree with you guys. 10, even though he's the 3rd best player in the draft, I completely agree with you. Even with the 3rd best, I completely agree. That's a lot. Howie is Howie a deal maker? Dallas moves up to 9 with Chicago and jumps the Eagles. That's why you still, hey, Yale, everyone, that's why you've got to watch the board. But here, what helps Justin Fields more? What if Jalen Carter, B.J. Robinson, Skornowski, and Paris Johnson are there for Chicago? What if those guys are there for the Bears? Who helps Justin Fields out more? Remember, I'm not taking a running back in a rebuild. The Bears are in a rebuild. You build your football teams like the Eagles. You see, this is why Chicago, Yale, if they did that and drafted the running back, Chicago, before building the O-line, there's a problem with the Bears. The Bears are not in a position to draft a running back. They're not in a position. Now, the Bears need multiple positions. To go to Yale and everyone else's point, they need multiple positions to fill. D-tackle, the breezy kid maybe later. On that side of the ball, they need an edge rusher, maybe the Iowa kid. They seem to like him. I think they need multiple picks. So the Bears moving that 9th pick, okay. I mean, would the Bears rather get 3 really good players or 1 exceptional player? I think you go for 3 if you're the Bears. You got so many holes to fill. I don't think Dallas has enough equity to do that, though. I don't think they have enough equity or enough cap room. Remember, Dak's cap hit this year is massive. Okay? I mean, they need as many draft choices as they can. And you giving away your draft picks just so you can grab 1 running back, that means that Dallas thinks they're a player away. Are they? They've had a great offseason. I think they've had a really good offseason. And how much would a guy like B.J. Robinson help Dallas? A ton. And he's on a rookie deal. That means this: I don't have to go get Derrick Henry. I don't have to go get Derrick Henry and spend $11 million on him. You see, here's the hidden value in Robinson. Why would I pay $10 million for Dalvin Cook? It's what he wants. Or it's what he's making. Derrick Henry's making $13, $12 million. That's a lot of money on your cap. Why not go get a rookie who is maybe as talented or in the room, especially depending on what your O-line. Now, here's something else to think about. If you're Tennessee, do you move Derrick Henry to Dallas and take Dallas's pick at 26 and then you draft Robinson, or maybe you move up? I think there's going to be a lot of movement next Thursday night. Dallas is getting a running back, a vet, or they're getting that kid from Texas. I don't know. I think the Dolphins and the Vikings are making really weird moves, or at least conversations. We're talking about Trey Lance and moving Dalvin Cook. How does that help you? Are they thinking of taking Robinson later? Hey, think about it. Keep an eye on the Vikings. Keep an eye on the Vikings. If they move Dalvin Cook to Miami, they could be in play for Bijan Robinson as well. Rookie contract. You don't have to pay $10, $11 million for Dalvin. Dalvin Cook's a good ball player. I could see Buffalo in the move for him. But that's later in the draft. I don't think he's going to get down there. I think of all the players, get this, you know the thing that is really putting the roadblock up on Bijan Robinson is this asinine thought process that you don't do that for a running back. Dude, you do that for LaDainian Tomlinson. And I'm sorry, I disagree with people who say he's not a special player. He is. Every single scout I've talked to has said he's the legitimate deal. The last time I was this sold on a running back was Adrian Peterson. I kept telling the Bucs, you got to draft this guy. You know what Bruce Allen and the Bucs told me? They were going like, he's got a shoulder injury. Because he had a shoulder injury his senior year or his last year at Oklahoma. I'm like, it's not a knee. This guy is a superstar ball player. I go, you don't see that? And Bruce is like, I think they got Cadillac Williams. or something. I think they went with him. I'm like, bro, this guy, Adrian Peterson, I'm telling you, he's a special dude. I'm like, I don't know, man. Cadillac wasn't even the feature back at Auburn. It was Ronnie Brown. And I was like, he wasn't even the featured dude. And they went with him. I think he had three games in a row, 100 yards in Buccaneers. You know what they were doing? They were calling me going, hey, look at our guy now. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, let me see if the little guy can hang. Well, he couldn't. He couldn't hang. He wasn't big enough. And he was never the feature back at Auburn. Tommy Tuberville was like this. Man, Cadillac's a good ball player, but Lionel James was tougher. Lionel James had a great career. He ran in the backfield with Tommy Agee and with Bo Jackson. I played against him. I'm like, hey, yeah, I don't see that. And again, I kept doing this to Bruce Allen and everyone in the personnel office with the Bucs. I kept going, it's a shoulder injury. He's going to get over that. I mean, it's not like he tore his ACL out. We found out, even though he tore his ACL out when he played with the Vikings, the next year he comes back and almost breaks Eric Dickerson's 2105. And you're like, there's something in the room with that guy. He was a generational player. Yeah, I played against Lionel Little Train James when he was at Auburn. I posted the game I played in, too, at Jordan Hare. That was a pretty wild place. I was a freshman at Maryland, believe it or not, then. I was a backup defensive tackle at Maryland, and I played against Bo Jackson, Lionel James, and Tommy Agee. All three of those guys played in the NFL. That was a hell of a backfield, man. And Bo, you see Bo Jackson, you're like, hey, Bo Jackson from the front, his legs were like this. Tone. Both legs were like this. They were like two pens. From the side, they were like this. This guy was built like a racehorse. I was like, it was the weirdest thing you've ever seen. You look at him straight on, you're like, well, this guy's not that. He was kind of tall, right? Little legs like this. Then from the side, you saw them thighs, man. They were like this. And bro, I don't know, man. He had cellophane over his body or something, because that's a guy that must have been a science project, because they like had every single part of the body, like the heart, the liver. He pulled his shirt up once because, they were doing something. We're sitting there looking at him, me and Pete. We're sitting there looking at him. I'm like, I'll tell you what, you could put that guy in a science class right now, and you could dissect that guy. There's his spleen. There's his kidneys. There's his, you're like, unbelievable. I've never seen anything like him. And you ever see him break that bat over his knee? Dude, that freaking guy was a freak show. I was very fortunate. I played against Dion, Bo, and Herschel. And I would tell you, and Eric Dickerson. Earl was past his prime. He was in his last year. He wasn't Earl Campbell. I played against Ironhead, pro and college. Eric Dickerson was the best back, though, I ever played on. ED, man, he'd get through that line of scrimmage, man, and he starts standing up, and, man, he ran like a horse himself. His nickname is Pony. I call him Pony. Man, them goggles, man. All you see is them goggles, and he's gone, dude. Don't let him get a head of steam up. Marcus Allen played against him. Yeah, but Eric Dickerson was just a freak show, man. Eric Dickerson's the best running back I ever played against. He was totally legit, dude. He get in the open field, man. You could not catch him. I think he went in the Lawrence Taylor draft. Whew. Man, what a ball player. Honest to God, though. The legs of like Bo were like this thin from head on. You saw him from the side, dude. I mean it. I've never seen a bigger set of legs. Only on a horse. Little tiny ankles. That guy getting the open field, never catching him. Dude, the only way my wife used to say things about Bo were this. Thank God he's got clothes on. Hey, guys, honest to God, my wife used to do this. Thank God that guy's got clothes on, because none of you catch him. Yeah, Bo Jackson, man, getting the open, man. You grab onto anything, man, because you were chasing. That guy was really a great ball player. Whew. Could not. Most people weren't alive when the 49ers won. Hey, Roger Craig was a special player. I love Roger Craig. Roger Craig used to lift his knees up so high. I'm friends with Roger. And Roger, very underrated back, should be a Hall of Famer. I believe Roger's the first guy to go 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing. Do you know nobody outside of Jerry Rice and Joe Montana are in the Hall of Fame from that Super Bowl run with Joe, with them 4 Super Bowls on the offensive side? Nobody else but those two. Those are the only 2 Hall of Famers. Harris Barton? No. Jesse Sapalo? No. Randy Cross? No. Nobody. Tight ends? No. Only Rice and Montana are on the Hall of Fame. Defense? Lot. I think Fred Dean may have played a little bit with them. Maybe a little. Only Dean, no. Randy Cross, no. Oh, Roger Craig was a great ball player. He should be in. He's a great player. So here's what I'm doing as of today. Here's my game plan. I'm moving down to 14. Dallas scares me because I think Dallas is going to. Yeah, because you get this. Once Dallas sees at 10 that the Eagles move down to 14, that would force Dallas to have to get to 13 and to get ahead of them. That would force Dallas to have to get ahead of them. And then get this. You could probably get your old lineman sitting there at 14 and then trade out of 30. Smart. If I'm not getting Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, I'm moving down from 10 to get Robinson. I'm going to sit at 14 and wait, see what happens to the board. You know why? At either 14 or 30, I'm going to get what I truly covet. What is that? One of the 87 graded offensive linemen. Remember what Chris Landry said the other day to you. Dude, if you get a guy, it doesn't matter what the name on the back of the jersey is. If they have the same grades, they're in the same sandbox. Does it matter if you get the kid from Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Osiris, the kid, Torrance? Does it matter? You get what you coveted the whole time. And you save your pick. You know why? You got the old lineman. One of the things you do spectacular at. What's that? Developing offensive line. You put them at guard. You put them in between Kelsey and Lane. Helps Jalen Hurts. And then you trade out of 30 and you get multiple picks in 2, 3, and 4. Sounds to me. Maybe you get your second-tier running back that you guys so want. I would never do that. I'd get a veteran back. If Bijan is the pick, the Eagles and Cowboys are playing chicken all day, night. That's correct. Because once the Eagles and the Patriots make that move, that's going to force the hand of the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to have to do this. And they don't have the luxury of the 2024 draft that the Eagles have. Because you know what the Eagles can do too? The Eagles have multiple picks in that draft. They're going to have like 12 to 14 picks next year in that 2024 draft. You can't move the compensation picks, but you have 8 as of tonight. You have 8 picks. So, I mean, you have equity for next Thursday night in next year's draft. I mean, Austin Eckler would be a great player in that offense for the Eagles. Austin Eckler in the Eagle offense would be sensational. Austin Eckler behind that offense, yeah. Austin Eckler. Bijan is the Bugatti. Yeah. And some people in Philly, in the sports media on radio, they want, instead of you drafting the Bugatti, right, where there's like 10 made a year, they want you to drive an Acura. It's okay. I drove an Acura. Really great cars. Okay? It's a great car. I love it. But if I could get a chance to get a Bugatti for the same price as an Acura, oh, you're right. I'll take the Acura. Okay, yeah, all right. Hey, Seals, you have to pay just like $1,000 more for the Bugatti. Do you want to stick with the thousand? Do you want? Hey, do you want the special hubcaps? Do you want the special rims? I had special rims put on mine. My thing was all decked out, man. I love my Acura. I decked that. Me and Lonzo Highsmith, we went together and we bought them. We decked it out, man. AMG kit, everything. I had everything in this thing. Oh, this thing was like 65, 70 grand. Oh, my God, I had everything in this thing. This thing was wonderful. Low profile, everything. Says, you want the rims? Yeah, I want the rims. So on draft night, some of you guys go, I'll kick. I don't want to pay $1,000 for the rims. I don't want to do that. I'll just take the car. All you got to do, dude, is the rims will make the car look better. That's all right. I don't want to pay for it. You want the Bugatti? That's all right. I'll stick with the Acura. Seals, you drive a smart car. You think I could get in a smart car, B-Walk? Smart. Hey, here's the cars I've had. It's embarrassing, actually. I've had a Lotus Esprit, a Maserati, a Porsche 911, a Corvette, a BMW, a Mercedes-Benz. I have a Hummer now. I had a Mustang GT. I think that's it. Someone always asks, why did you get the Ferrari? I'm like, yeah, couldn't go there. Now give me a cheaper, younger back for 4 years at 10, not trying to be cute and lose out. I hear you. Sills is bigger than the smart car. Hey, just so you know, 26. What are those little MG guys? You know, one of those little MG cars? A Cooper. Let me tell you what happened to me Tone, let me do this before I go to break. Hey, Brian, so you know, my father, I bought this blue Lotus. Could I fit in it? No. My dad goes, do you think you can fit in this thing? Yeah. It's a mid-engine car. Yeah. No, why does it look too tight? He goes, you think? I'm like, no, this fits perfect. Don't you think? Stupidity. And it's ultimate, man. It was absolutely stupid. Oh, man. Yeah, getting that car was the dumbest thing I ever did. How do I look in this? Don't you think I fit? No. Oh, wait. So like, look, the Mini Cooper. I worked for this radio station in Southern California for like 6 years. And we would go to Peoria every year to watch the Padres and get ready for spring football. So I'd stay there for the week and I'd broadcast my morning show. And I get to the airport. The lady goes like this. I go, what's wrong? She goes, Mr. Sileo, do you know what a Mini Cooper is? I never heard of it. Well, here's your information. I went like this. Like the car gets brought up. I go, you're shitting me. The guy goes, there's actually more space in there than you think there is. I'm like, you're shitting me. I opened the door, and actually there was space in there, but I'm driving around in this Mini Cooper. And I said, do you think I could lift this thing up from the side? Because I used to be able to lift Volkswagens up. So I sure enough, I can get the tires off the ground. And I'm like, man, do you think I should be able to drive a car that I could pick up off the ground? I was like, I go, ma'am, I mean, I could pick the car up. Do you think that's normal? Just driving a Mini Cooper. Let me take a time out. Hour number 3, Jason Cole, brand new book out. Shut Up. Your kid is not that great. We will talk to our friend and author and NFL Hall of Fame voter, bottom of the